I had a couple ideas for my very first video here on YouTube, and I thought that it would just be natural for it to be about D.Gray-Man by Katsura Hoshino. I absolutely love this series. It is my favorite manga of all time, and I have nothing but love for it. So the first topic of my very first video is going to be about the four main characters of Katsura Hoshino's D.Gray-Man: Alan Walker, Yu Kanda, Lena Lee, and Lavi Bookman. D.Gray-Man, when boiled down to a couple sentences, would be a boy joins an organization to fight evil and learns about his extremely complicated past. And I think I could think of many shonen anime that fit into that exact category. I know, it seems basic, mid, whatever you want to say about it. I totally understand. But when it comes to D.Gray-Man, I compare it to an onion. It has so many layers to it that when reading the manga, you're taken on a roller coaster of emotions and mystery. The line of right and wrong is blurred, and just as the name suggests, you're forced to look at the world not in black and white, but in a murky gray. We see the world the same as Alan does. However, as with all stories, if your cast of characters are not well developed and flat, you cannot have an amazing plot and story. D.Gray-Man does not have that issue at all. It features four main characters, with Alan Walker being the protagonist. Alan Walker himself is such an interesting, well-written character. One that I would say was the blueprint for characters like Tanjiro Kamado to bounce off of. Seeing Alan learn more about the world with the Black Order, learning about himself and his origins, and being forced to come to a life-changing decision at only 15 years old. Alan presents himself as extremely polite and formal, very kind, compassionate, and caring. However, throughout the series, we see cracks of that true self slip through. At first, we see it when anything is related to Cross. We see it even further when he's with Kanda. It's verbally brought up by Lena Lee, who is happy that Alan is feeling so much more comfortable that he's able to relax and drop his guard. This all happens very early too, so Alan's struggles and developments that happen for the rest of the series is so impactful and raw. There is another layer to Alan that I want to discuss, and that is Alan's reliability as a narrator. Alan is quite unreliable when it comes to speaking about himself in the past. Only now are we getting the truth on how Alan, or should I say Red, grew up. Throughout the story, we get bits and pieces about Alan's childhood and upbringing, but never from Alan himself until the arc Saying Goodbye to Alan Walker. We learn almost all of our information about Alan Walker from Cross Marion, another character who cannot be entirely trusted when it comes to telling the truth, specifically about Alan, Mana, and the Noah. I remember a scene early on when Alan is playing card games, using tricks and cheats learned from Cross to get what he wants. The act was something that came so easy for him that I feel like Cross merely helped him perfect the craft. However, because Alan had mimicked Mana's personality, it comes across very jarring. And it's the first indication that Alan is probably wearing a heavy mask in front of his comrades. However, I don't think Alan is doing it out of malice. He's traumatized. Alan's past is incredibly sad, and often Alan felt that he should have died instead of Mana. By copying Mana's personality, it feels like it's a way of grieving. Eventually, that mask begins to crack, and Red's personality begins to shine through little by little. And like I said, Alan isn't the only extremely in-depth character in D.Gray-Man. All of the characters, main cast, supporting, otherwise, are given such depth that when anything happens to them, you feel some type of emotion for them. When they pass, when they're injured, when they're forced to make a life-changing decision, you feel for them. Next on the roster is Yu Kanda. Kanda seems like a rough, closed-off character. With characters like him, it's very easy to not develop them or give them proper character growth. Kanda thankfully doesn't fall into that category. The walls he builds are slowly chipped away, however, he doesn't lose his edge. People understand why Kanda is the way he is, and people adjust to accommodate him. While some may see this as a flaw, which it absolutely is, it's not necessarily a hindrance on the story, rather, it gives him depth. When we finally learn about Kanda's past and upbringing, all of the dots connect as to why Kanda only focuses on fighting Akuma, rather than trying to build camaraderie and actually build friendships with his teammates. Now, on the complete opposite of that coin is Lena Lee. Lena Lee's past and upbringing is just as devastating and heartbreaking as Alan and Kanda. Lena Lee treasures her family and the Order more than anything. Her family is, quite literally, her world. When anyone in the Order passes away or gets killed in action, Lena Lee becomes angry and lets her emotions get the better of her. Cross has mentioned the best way to avoid this is to just not get her angry and to let her experience her grief so she recovers. Over time, however, she's gotten much better at controlling her grief and frustrations, and has begun wearing her thoughts and emotions on her sleeve, rather than letting them get bottled up over time. Lena Lee has a tendency to try to fix her problems without help, and take care of others when they're injured. Because of this, she also neglects herself. This is because her innocence took a giant toll on her body when it first activated. So she feels a strong desire to help and protect. Finally, we have our last character of the crew, Lavi. At least, it's one of his names. As a bookman, Lavi is tasked with learning the world's history as it happens and being just an observer. Lavi had begun to refer to himself as inhuman since he is expected to not bat a single eye at any of his comrades dying, even right before him. However, over time, Lavi stops sharing that same ideal. He has trouble with staying put and standing by. After meeting Alan, Kanda, and Lena Lee, Lavi's ideals as a bookman just begin to crack, and he's now unable to stay attached to the very people whose lives are in jeopardy every day. Lavi's mask is overly laid back. He's the oldest of the crew at 19, yet I feel I often forget that since Lavi has more of a childlike wonder and optimism that the others don't have. I believe it's a form of self-preservation as well as attempting genuine optimism considering his job as a bookman is very grim. With 4 main characters, Katsura Hoshino does a great job writing their chemistry with each other. They feel more than just comrades, rather a close found family. They notice things about each other that the other characters don't. Despite being only a close unit for almost a year, they all act like they've known each other for years. The pressure of war and fighting have caused them to rapidly form a bond that nothing can break. Alan willing to put his reputation and his place in the order on the line for Kanda. Lena Lee endured excruciating pain because she trusted Alan would save her. Lavi threw his life's mission away because he felt normal and human with them. Kanda, who is finally granted freedom, comes back because Alan's in trouble. They all complement each other, all 4 characters covering a range of personality tropes. Kanda is more serious, headstrong, and powerful. Lena Lee is kind, determined, and elegant. Lavi is laid back, friendly, and provocative. Finally, Alan, who is stubborn, mysterious, and cordial. You think 4 main characters would be a crowd. We see in shows like My Hero Academia and Naruto that the more main or main supporting characters you introduce, the harder it becomes to give all these characters proper character development. Not to say any of these shows didn't have character development period, rather, because of the size of the cast, most characters become Flanders-sized. My Hero Academia, in my opinion, doesn't utilize its female characters enough. While they're presented as strong, Horikoshi gives them very little development for the rest of their appearance. Naruto has the same issue, writing characters like Sakura, who is written to be one of the best healers in the anime, but her development as a person and a shinobi falls flat. By sticking to 4 main characters, D.Gray-Man has the perfect blend of personality and character development. The only character I'd say that needs more development compared to the others is Lavi. But there are reasons why we may not see that development soon. But even if that was all the development Lavi was getting, I'd be at peace with it. Overall, I think that D.Gray-Man definitely is a piece that is worth reading. I understand a lot of people's reservations when it comes to D.Gray-Man. It's a series that updates quarterly. There's like 245 chapters. I get it. I think if you definitely put your time into this series, you are going to walk away a very different person. This series pulls on every emotional heartstring that it can, and it's just going to leave you wanting more. I absolutely love this series to death, and I hope that I've convinced you to maybe start it, even just a little. Definitely makes me want to reread this series for like the 4th time, so I think I might go do that. Thank you so much for watching my first video. I was really nervous making it, but I really hope you enjoyed it. It really did feel right having my debut be about D.Gray-Man. I do have a couple shorts to upload from my TikTok, which I'll slowly be uploading. Things like my recommendations, short manga reviews, and mini essays. But anyway, thank you again, and I'll see you next time.